What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the NFL Universe. I'm John with Max.
What's up, guys? I'm glad to be back again. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, we've been, me and Max have been busy. Went back to college and for our spring semester, senior year, so we've kind of been around town. But I did put something out on the Instagram over this past week. I did the predictions for the original wild card round, which I was 6 for 6 for, or I think 5 for 6. I think I was iffy on that 49ers Cowboys game, but in my head, I think the 49ers. I think I might have said Cowboys in the video, and then the following week, I did a video for the divisional round, and I went 2 for 4. Unfortunately,
I was 0 for 4 personally.
I mean, what a wild weekend! Getting right into it. We start with the first game. That happened, and unfortunately for Max, it's probably the worst game that happened. So this game, Bengals, we have the Bengals Titans here for the AFC. Bengals win this one 19-16. Joe Burr does it again here, makes the upset. So just going through the stats, 348 yards, 1 interception for Joe Burrow, 54 yards and a touchdown for Mixon. Jamar Chase had 109 yards, and T. Higgins had 96 yards. You had an interception from Wilson, and you had an interception from Bates as well as Hilton. And you had a sack. I'm bringing up the stats here from Bell. And then on the Titans side of things, Tannehill, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Yeah. Dr. Foreman was the leading rusher at 66 yards on 4 carries. And then Derrick Henry with 20 carries at 62 yards and a touchdown. Receiving wise, A.J. Brown had a fantastic day, 142 yards and a touchdown. They also had 3 sacks from Jeffrey Simmons here, 1.5 from Autry. You had a sack from Dupree, as well as you had an interception from Amani Hooker. That being said, what an interesting game here. Titans come into this one with I thought were shoo-ins to win because, again, you locked down that first seed in the AFC without Derrick Henry for 10 weeks. Derrick Henry steps in. I know he wasn't going to be 100% coming into this game. Don't get me wrong. But I thought that addition would definitely help to put them over the top here. I didn't think this game was even going to be close. That being said, obviously it was close, and the Bengals came out on top. Joe Burrow has been fantastic in this playoff run. Jamar Chase has stepped up. All the playmakers that the Bengals have really stepped up. And, me and my roommates have been talking about it. What if the Bengals drafted Penei Sewell? Would they be in this position they are today? I don't know. That's a question.
I don't know. I really don't know.
The viewers, but, I don't want to go too long because I know Max going to have a lot to say. I got to say, Jeffrey Simmons, though, has really come to his own in this playoff run. And, I'm excited to see what he has
whole
to do.
Year.
I mean, he's been good. He's been good this entire year, but this playoff, that playoff game, 3 sacks was incredible. I expect him to really take a step forward, and maybe he'll be one of those. I don't want to say he's Aaron Donald level, but again, one of those elite interior linemen going into the future. Looking at positives from this game. Obviously, in terms of things that I have to say about, I think again, Bengals players are stepping up. And I'll get to what I think they're going to do in the next round of the playoffs. But in terms of the Titans, I think the real answer here, me and Max talked a little bit about it, was Ryan Tannehill. There's something that's got to change there because he's not the guy that's going to put you over the top. Again, the Titans' offense is simply run the ball with Derrick Henry down your throat until the defense pretty much has to crowd the box. They'll run a play action and run a deep post or an out route. A.J. Brown, Julio, whoever it is. So me and Max were talking about towards the future for the Titans. Number one, I think replace Ryan Tannehill. Doesn't have to be this year. Get a replacement in for him because you need something more dynamic on offense. As well as you're going to have to replace Julio. He's getting old. The contract's going to be iffy. And you're going to need to replace that production. And then continue to work on the offensive line. I'm going to give a solid offense there. And again, continue to add pieces on the defense. I think it's really the key solution for the Titans here. I just think they weren't ready to come into this game. I think the bye week may have hurt them a little bit because they just were a little bit rusty. And then trying to mix in Derrick Henry in the playoffs, really kind of put them at a disadvantage down the stretch. Max?
All right. Well, let me say this really quick. When's the last time you saw a team get 9 sacks and lose the game? I was going to this game, I was saying 3 things would have to go the Titans' way. Get pressure on Joe Burrow. Check. Did that. I thought 5 sacks would have been enough difference maker. We got 9. Okay. Defense played their hearts out. They were playing great all year. This front four in particular is scary. You can't blame the defense at all for this game. Okay. Number 2, staying on defense, bending but don't break. Perfect. We allowed 3 field goals. I say 3 because the 4th is the game winner. But in terms of holding him in the red zone, did just that. Fine. Made him settle for field goals instead of touchdowns. Again, a winning strategy. Also on offense. And the next key I had was running the ball. And again, Derrick Henry didn't have his best game. And coming off that injury, 12-week break, you knew he wouldn't be what he was. So people's expectations probably need to be a little more realistic about him going into that game. But even then, He had 62 yards. Deontay Foreman had 66. That's 128 yards. That's still a pretty good rushing attack. It's not great, but like that's about what we had last year when Henry was the only one getting carries, and it worked. So when it comes down to it, obviously Ryan Tannehill, I've been trying to defend them for a while, but this Saturday told me it's not going to happen. Between the lack of consistency and the past two playoff performances, it's just not going to work out there, it looks like. Even bigger issue for me, Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator. That guy has to go bad. It doesn't look like he will, but which is bad for us moving forward. But so here's a question. We had, including the playoffs, we ran 18 opening plays, obviously. How many yards do you think we gained on those opening plays?
I could not tell you. I mean,
just take a guess.
20.
16 yards.
No.
16.
Yeah.
In terms of setting the tone and scoring on the first two drives of the games, the Titans had to have been among the worst teams in the league. And if you look at this offense all year, let me tell you right now, Ryan Tannehill was a much better quarterback last year than this year. I don't really know what happened. He lost all his best attributes: decision-making, precision passing. Last year, he was able to make deep throws, not all the time. Obviously, not like guys like Rodgers or Wilson or those guys do. But in terms of hitting throws, being on the money, he was that. This year, he was missing throws he would have made in 2019, 2020. He was making decisions he would have never made a year ago. I don't know what happened. And then also, one thing I want to talk about, I never talked about a ton here. Josh Reynolds came in as a free agent last offseason for under $1 million. Should have been a slam dunk signing, bang for your buck. He never worked out. Just a lot of problems with this offense all year. And let's talk about, people talk about the interception Tannehill threw on that last drive. That drive was maybe some of the worst clock management I've ever seen. And that's all on Todd Downing, partially on Mike Vrabel, but that's mostly on Todd Downing because he's the one who calls plays. It's his job to dial up the offensive approach. We played to get a field goal and not a touchdown. When we had to get the field goal range, Ryan Tannehill had to be desperate, and that's terrible decision by him. Don't get me wrong. Awful throw.
Westbrook had no chance at that.
But
and then
that would have never happened if we showed any more urgency.
Yeah, and I agree. It's like between the offense, again, play calling is definitely a big issue here because, again, you have stretch inside zone with Derrick Henry matched with a deep play action, and that's pretty. It's a 1-2 punch offense, and there's nothing dynamic about it. Once the defense formulates a way to stop that, the Titans get stung. And on top of that, Ryan Tannehill, on top of that being a bad decision, he also put it in a place where Westbrook didn't really have a shot to get it, and only Westbrook had a shot to get it. If you look at that throw made by Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, somebody who's really inept at winning games like this in big moments,
they wouldn't make that throw number one. They would never make it.
They would make it, but if they were going to make it, they throw it probably in the dirt, where only Westbrook could come up and make a basket catch, giving the defender behind him no chance to tip it up and then have an interception. So
the Bengals should have never seen that ball again in regulation. How they got the ball back there, it just makes no sense. And for Tannehill in this game, and here's a huge reason why it took me until this game to finally, I want to say, turn him. I like what Tannehill's done. He's a great guy, great leader. He's not going to win a Super Bowl. All that being said, going into this game, last year you could make the excuse that he didn't have a ton on his side, which this year he still had the bad offensive coordinator. This year, he had everything: a decent run game, 2 really good receivers, a great defense, yet it wasn't enough. So it took me a while, but I think all Titans fans have learned after this game, or most have learned, that we got to do something. And I think as far as the offseason goes, we're not going to cut Ryan Tannehill because it literally costs us money to do it. He's going to be the guy next year, with all this being said. And this team's kind of stuck right now. The only thing we can really do is get pieces to build around him, maybe in free agency, cut some guy. I think what the Titans should probably do this offseason is at least really, really think about drafting a quarterback, trade up a few spots. And the common answer is going to be, well, this QB class sucks. Well, here's the thing. Look at Trevor Lawrence. Look at Mac Jones. Who should be a better quarterback? Lawrence by far. But it's not. All right. It's not all about who has the most skill and all that. You have to have the right coaching, the right foundation in place. We hire right offensive line, which doesn't look like it's going to happen, but you hire the right offensive coordinator, you have the right piece, you have the right foundation. That's how you can get your quarterback to succeed. So what I would do if I were in charge of the Titans is kind of retool next year. I think we're not going to really have much of a shot next year to win anything. So retool the offense, draft a quarterback. And by the time he's ready to take the spot in 1 or 2 years, he has everything he needs around him.
100%. 100%. With that being said, not to
Sorry about all that.
No, yeah, 100%. The Titans came into this game as the 1 seed, and they got embarrassed by the Bengals. The Bengals are on a hot streak, but I don't think they should have had a chance in this game. The Titans were playing at
Joe Burrow did not win them this game. We handed them that game.
I fully believe that. You guys handed that game, and Joe Burrow managed it.
Handed them the game.
With that being said, moving on to the next game, 49ers-Packers. 49ers upset the Packers huge. Both won. The Packers were the 1 seed in the NFC.
They were the 1 seed, yep.
And they get eliminated by the 49ers here. Another team that probably shouldn't be in the conference finals, but 49ers win this one 13-10. And before I say anything, the 49ers were the perfect matchup for the Packers here. They had everything that hurts the Packers and keeps them from being successful. And that kind of made the difference in the game here. Just going through the stats real quick, Garoppolo, 131 yards and interception. Garoppolo is not good. We know this. He's at best a game manager. Mitchell, 53 yards, no touchdowns. George Kittle was our leading receiver for 63 yards. And then Deebo Samuel, 44 yards receiving. And then also Deebo Samuel had 39 yards rushing. Defensively, the 49ers put up 5 sacks in total. Packers, 225 yards from Rodgers, 41 yards rushing from Jones. And then Jones also had 129 yards receiving, as well as they had a couple of sacks, like 4 sacks the Packers had, and an interception. This game was very, bad offense, honestly, for the most part, because the defense.
It was snowing.
It was snowing. It was 0-degree weather. You know, the 49ers had the perfect storm to go ahead and win this game. Again, Packers defense against the rush is not great.
Not good.
And the 49ers are a very heavily rush offense. You know, the 49ers are the type of team that are going to come out in these heavy sets and they're going to run your ball down your throat. They're kind of like, they're basically, I would say, like the Titans in terms of they're going to run the ball down your throat and then have that deep pass over the top to match it. However, I think the 49ers, what they have a little bit different is they have a little bit more dynamic play calling. I think that's probably the difference here.
Surprise.
And as well as their head coach, Kyle Shanahan pretty much has the Packers in LaFleur's number. You know, what are the 49ers like 5-0?
I believe Aaron Rodgers is 0-4 against the 49ers in the playoffs.
You know, but just going through the game, Garoppolo's not great. The 49ers 0-degree weather. They took advantage of running the football better than the Packers did. You know, the Packers tried to match it. They didn't, you know, Devonta Adams was pretty good in this game. I thought, you know, he did his part here. Had a decent, he had a decent number of receptions, I believe, for the Packers. Devonta Adams had 9 receptions for 90 yards. You know, he did his job. He was getting open a lot. However, they couldn't pass much. And a lot of their plays just came out to screens and dump offs to Jones that kind of became the Packers offense. And the Packers, you know, fell down across the stretch. And this is 2 games in a row. When we get to the Rams and Buccaneers, that'll be 3, but 2 games in a row that were decided by game-winning field goals. The NFL scriptwriters this week had to do a fantastic job with that. In terms of the Packers and their future, who knows what it's going to be, because it seems like Aaron Rodgers is out of there. I wouldn't blame him, honestly. And that being said, go ahead, Max.
They're negative 40 million cap space with Rodgers potentially leaving. Devontae Adams is a free agent. Robert Tonyan's a free agent. Devondre Campbell's a free agent. They got some more. They are screwed. And
heavy rumors that Aaron Rodgers, if he continues to play, might go to the Steelers. But I think will be a solid spot for him. The defense is solid. And I think that's what the Steelers. I believe Aaron Rodgers really could transform that Steelers.
Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers. Oh God, that would be terrible.
That's the rumors flying around right now, and I could see it. I feel like it'd be a decent fit for him.
I will roll over in my grave, quite literally, if that happens.
That would be a good team. Mike Tomlin's a good coach. You got a good running back in Najee Harris, decent wide receiver core. Offensive line 100% needs help, and I think they could address that with the draft. And that being said, I feel like Aaron Rodgers has a lot of pull. Who's to say the Steelers don't go ahead and sign Devonta Adams and bring him to the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers and make a disgusting wide receiver core? You know,
does that make financial sense, though? I mean,
I don't know.
I know there's ways to clear cap in the NFL, but that's a lot of money that they'd have to set aside, especially when their offensive line has holes too.
A heavy ifs here and a lot of hypotheticals. But, you know, I've seen the rumors and my friends talked about it. I could see it happening. It'd be incredible. Don't get me wrong. It'd have a lot of that have to happen to make this happen. But it'd be huge, 100%. I'd be interested in seeing what that would be like. Again, you got Mike Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, you got TJ Watt on the other side, just a lot of superstars. You're building a pretty good team right there, and that could really, again, the Steelers are making the playoffs with Ben Roethlisberger, who pretty much has a noodle arm, throwing this ball 60 yards for 2 to 3 yard passes every game. Imagine you got Aaron Rodgers back there. I mean, that would be a game changer.
Absolutely.
Max?
No, I totally agree. I think the Steelers. I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers on any team would pretty much take him to a playoff team. Let's just get that straight. Aaron Rodgers, he's that good. Going back to the Packers, they're screwed, not just because of the players they have and like their money, which is bad. Let's forget the Packers aren't going to even keep close to everyone. If they keep Rodgers, they're not keeping anyone else, even if that happens. Like I said, clearing money, you can do that, but you can only do so much at the end of the day. They just have way too much to deal with. And let's put it this way. The Packers have been only good the past few years because Aaron Rodgers carried them. Imagine what happens without a guy let's just say they go 2-14 and tank for Bryce Young next year. Even then, what other quarterback are they ever going to have that's like Aaron Rodgers? You don't find another Aaron Rodgers in that. You just don't. And what makes me ever believe that Jordan Love would be that good?
We've seen nothing from Jordan Love that's really been like, wow. He's had a couple opportunities here and there, and he hasn't really wowed us at all. Could develop into something, but it's
the way all the drama they have in the offseason is like really emblematic of like how like poorly run their organization is, and without Rodgers, it could be bad for them.
Rodgers pretty much has the ability to do what he wants at the end of the day because he's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the talent speaks, and the Packers don't have much control over him, similar to a LeBron James or Tom Brady. Control. So, that being said, we'll be on to the next game here. This game was probably my favorite game of the playoffs, but so far, Rams Buccaneers. Rams edge out the Buccaneers 30-27, and almost a insane comeback win, finished by Tom Brady. Who else? Tom Brady.
If there's any reason to believe that the NFL scripts games, it's this one right here.
So going into this game, Rams were up what? Let me do the math here. 27-3 at one point.
That is correct.
Going through about midway through the third quarter, Buccaneers put 10 points in the third quarter to make it 13-27, and then they put 14 in the fourth quarter, making it tied 27-27 with about a minute left on the clock. And then, long and behold, I don't understand this to this day. If I'm Tom Brady, I'm insanely pissed off. It seems the Buccaneers either screwed up their coverage or they went cover 0 with a minute left, and Rams and Matt Stafford threw a beautiful deep post about 45, 50 yards down the field, bombed it over the top on the cover 0, which is essentially what they were in, and they get put in field goal range, and they kick the field goal and they win the game. A lot to talk about there, but going to the stats real quick. Stafford, 366 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cam Akers with 48 yards rushing. Cooper Kupp, 183 yards and a touchdown. Beckham had 69 yards. Higbee had 51. Fedorsen had 29. David Long had 7 tackles. You had a sack from Aaron Donald, which doesn't at all express how dominant he was in this game, because if you watch that game, he had like 8-9 pressures on top of that.
Yeah. No,
he was a monster. Yeah. Nick Scott had the interception. Floyd with the sack, as well as I believe Von Miller. Did he get a sack? I forget. Von Miller got one sack too.
At least one.
Yeah. Brady, 329 yards, touchdown, interception. Fournette had 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. Evans had 119 yards and a touchdown. Gronk had 85 yards. Fournette had 56 yards. Scotty Miller 38. Defensively, and looking through it, he had half a sack from Sue, a sack from Vita Vea, and half a sack from Jason Pierre-Paul. So going into this game, I guess starting with the Rams side of things, Cam Akers has been very productive stepping in since his injury over the past 2 weeks. Was pretty good here. Nothing spectacular, but again, more than serviceable. Has been a very good running back for them. However, he did have that fumble late in the game that allowed, just going off of that. The Rams had
I bet no one from this weekend's breathing a bigger sigh of relief than him.
He had that fumble. Sue punched it out. That game was pretty much given back to the Buccaneers by the Rams offense making mistakes. You had the Cooper Kupp fumble. You had the Cam Akers fumble. You had the snap over Stafford's head for a fumble. I mean, there was just fumble after fumble after fumble, and it's like you guys are throwing the game. You can't put Brady in that situation. He's going to do something with it. And they almost did. Given the Buccaneers screwed up and they got lucky, I would say the Rams, but the Rams are a very, very good team. That they should have handed that Buccaneers team the loss easily. As I went back in my predictions if you go back to a week ago, I said the Buccaneers were missing their starting offensive lineman. They're missing Chris Godwin. They're missing pieces, and the Rams are in prime position to win this game and give Ham Brady his first divisional round loss in about 10 years. They go ahead and do that. Either way, looking at this Buccaneers team, the offensive line was incredibly pressured the entire game. I mean, that combination between Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, and Von Miller is disgusting. They're getting heavy pressure every single play without needing to blitz at all. They can play heavy coverage and let those three guys rush. I mean, again, Aaron Donald was in the face of Tom Brady almost every single snap, whether he was doubled, whether he was tripled. He would, he'd get a check from the tight end and still rush him. He's just such a dominant player. And then, you got to worry about Von Miller. Von Miller is a guy that arguably had to double team too. Getting up there in age, but he's still a fantastic pass rusher. And Leonard Floyd's a guy that you need a good tackle to block. He's not any scrub that they have out there either. So great combination there. But pressure on Tom Brady the entire game. Tom Brady is the king of getting the ball out quickly. If it was anybody who's going to beat this Rams rushing pass rush, it's going to be Tom Brady, and they couldn't do it down the stretch. That being said, Rams win this one, and they move on to play the 49ers next week. What happens with Tom Brady? Rumors are already flying. Is he going to retire? Is he not? He was kind of vague about it himself. My thing is, I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to regroup this team, and he's going to go for another year. In my opinion, you're either MVP or MVP running up. You don't retire, especially if Brady wins another Super Bowl. I think he's done. But I think near MVP season, regroup the squad for another go round. It makes no sense for him to retire. I think he's just spewing rumors to make fun and create some excitement. But I don't think he's going anywhere, Max.
No, I completely agree with what you said. I don't think Brady would go down like this, knowing he probably still has it, and seeing the way he went out of this playoff game. I definitely think he wants more. So I think he's going to stay. And as far as your analysis on the game, I really got nothing else to add there, because it was, well, actually, I'll say one thing. I was not confident in the Rams going into the playoffs, because I was not confident in Matt Stafford's ability to not turn the ball over. He was a turnover machine throughout the regular season, and I thought, you can't win with a turnover machine in the playoffs. And he played a pretty clean game himself. He didn't commit a turnover, but everyone else did, which it should be an easy fix. But you just got to know you can't win the game when you turn the ball over 4 times. That's just not a recipe for success. The only reason they won this game is because they were up 27-3. If they were close or close to it in the second half, they would have lost by a blowout.
100%. With that being said, I guess we could head right into our next game, final game of the weekend here. Bills Chiefs. Chiefs edged the Bills out 42-36 in overtime. What a fantastic game this was too. I mean, all 4 games are pretty good this weekend. I mean, some of the best football I've ever watched collectively for a weekend, especially divisional round. That being said, going through the stats, 329 yards for Josh Allen, 4 touchdowns. He also had 68 yards rushing. Devin Singletary had 26 yards rushing and a touchdown. Davis was incredible here.
Gabriel Davis, yep.
Gabriel Davis was incredible here. I couldn't think of his first name. I was blanking on that. Thank you. 201 yards. I know who Gabriel Davis is. I don't know. I couldn't think of his first name. 201 yards and 4 touchdowns. What an insane game. I think it's one of the best playoff performances you could ever have. Edmonds was solid with 7 tackles. Sack from Johnson, as well as a sack from Ed Oliver here. Pass rush wasn't overly fantastic for the Bills, but was good enough. Especially early on, first half, the defenses were pretty good. It was really the second half where both teams kind of exploded. Chiefs side of things, 378 yards and 3 touchdowns for Mahomes here, 69 yards rushing for Mahomes, as well as a touchdown. Edwards-Helaire had 60 yards rushing, 150 yards for Tyreek Hill and a touchdown. Travis Kelce had 96 yards and a touchdown. McKinnon, 54 yards, and Pringle had 29 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, looking at their defense, Swanson had 6 tackles. And I don't believe anybody had interception, and they had 2 sacks in the day. So kind of a quiet first half, just going through the game here. Both offenses weren't really getting it going. It was more bad offense than it was great defense. And then the second half kind of exploded, because you were 14-14 going into the half. And then the third quarter was relatively quiet too. You 7-9, Chiefs take a small lead. And then you had 15-13 in the fourth quarter. Going through this game, I'm trying to think of the really special moments. You had that, especially that fourth quarter, over the middle pass to Tyreek Hill for that 60-yard run. I love that play, because it's Tyreek Hill's almost like eye for eye with the linebacker about at the 10-yard line. He's giving the peace sign, because Tyreek Hill's he's going to run past him for a touchdown. That was kind of epic. I'm trying to think. Obviously, the last play, everyone knows that one. 13 seconds left. Well, first of all, prior to that, Bills need to go down and get a touchdown to try and win this game. They do that. Gabriel Davis gets a fantastic little 1-2 juke. I don't even know what you call it. It's kind of, I don't even know what you call it. It was kind of like a fake corner to like a post route. I don't know what that route would be called. It's beyond my knowledge. It was kind of like a post route, but he kind of faked it was going to be a corner route. Absolutely shattered. I forget what corner it was. Shattered his ankles, made him trip. I've never seen a corner get broken that bad.
Gabriel Davis. Favorite thing from that drive was when Tyreek Hill got into the end zone, Josh Allen was looking for the rest of his teammates on the sideline saying, it's okay. Watch me do this. And of course, he goes down the field and does it.
And then the Chiefs go and match it right after. I mean, Gabriel Davis, he had two touchdowns in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
He was incredible, finding open space, great connection between him and Josh Allen there. But what a drive put together by the Chiefs with 13 seconds left. I had a bet on this game, right? I got the Chiefs in a money line parlay with, here's what I was missing. I needed McCole Harmon to have 26 yards. And this is right before the end of the fourth quarter. I needed Travis Kelce touchdown, and I needed Chiefs win. 13 seconds left on the clock. I'm like, it's over. There goes my parlay. There goes the Chiefs season. Wow, what an ending. God behold, what do they have? Like 3 20-plus yard passes in that drive?
Two.
And you had incredible 13 seconds. The Chiefs put themselves into field goal position. They make the kick. This is after Butker missed 2 kicks earlier in the game. They go into OT. Chiefs win the toss. Travis Kelce on the second to last play. You had McCole Harbin put up 26-yard reception, which was hit for my parlay. And Travis Kelce scored the game-winning touchdown to let the Chiefs win. So my parlay hit. It was incredible. That being said, it was just such a clutch moment by the Chiefs and incredible game. That being said, a lot of people are calling for the change to overtime rules because of this game. And I'll have to say this. I'm kind of in the middle on the argument because, yes, when you have the way the NFL is set up right now, it's so offensively based that whoever wins that toss has a very lot. It's not a 50-50 game. Again, the NFL is so offensively based at this point because of the rule sets. You can't touch the quarterback, et cetera, pass interference, that you don't give defenses much of a chance in terms of offenses have the advantage. Whoever gets that ball first in the coin toss has a big advantage. So the OT rules kind of hurt that. At the same time, on the counter argument, which I also agree with, the Bills had the opportunity to stop them with 13 seconds left from scoring. They didn't do it. And then they were given another chance in OT to make a stop on that drive too, and they didn't do it. It's not like the Bills defense wasn't given a chance. They had 2 chances, and they didn't do it. So I'm kind of split. The offense has the advantage in OT, but the Bills defense in this situation was given 2 chances to make a stop.
And it's not like in college where you only have to go 25 yards to score. When you're in the NFL, you got to go the whole length of the field. So the Bills had about 70. I don't remember where they got the ball exactly, but assuming it was a touchback, they had 75 yards to stop them, and they couldn't do it. And they, not only that, offering zero resistance whatsoever.
100%. And that kind of as my wrap up for that game. Do you want to talk about the Bills' future? Max, do you have any more comments on the game?
I'd like to go into the Bills' future because I have some opinions on that.
Okay, yeah. Just going through that game, Travis Kelce is crazy how no matter what the Chiefs situation is in, he's just like a safety net for them. He's always making catches. Fantastic. Obviously gets the game-winning touchdown. Byron Pringle's really stepped up for the Chiefs here. Jared McKinnon's been solid. It's funny, I noticing this game how both the leading rushers for both teams was the quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is so elusive in the pocket, and Josh Allen's such an athlete. He's the type of guy that he's a quarterback that doesn't slide. He'll go ahead and truck you. That being said, in terms of the Bills' future, they got to do something here because they're so close to being a Super Bowl team. I don't know. I can't exactly pinpoint what it is. They had one of the better defenses in the league. Again, I think they're a couple of draft picks away and maybe a coordinator away from being great. Maybe upgrade the offensive line a little bit. Patting down the Stephon Diggs was relatively absent this game. He had 7 yards on 3 receptions.
7, and one of them was on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
too.
so
keep that in mind.
So that's I really don't know what the answer is. Max, what are your ideas?
I think they got to do a few things. Number one, if this roster is going to be the way it is next year, I think they may not be nearly as good as they were this year because Brian Dabble is going to get a head coaching job. He will, and I think that offense was really good mostly because of him, because of the way he designed plays. This Bills team, besides Allen and Diggs and maybe Dawson Knox, they don't have a ton of playmakers. Their run game, when you're leading rushers, your quarterback, that's not a great sign. They need to get a running back They probably need a little help in the interior line as well. And they could use another receiver too. I mean, Gabe Davis and what are the Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders doesn't really scare you, but like Gabe Davis is all right, but they need a little more. I just think they need a little more to get over the top because Josh Allen's great, but it's the NFL and you need 11 guys, and yet even in a quarterback's league, you still have to help them out. So there are a few. Don't get me wrong, there are a few pieces away, and they can easily make those changes, but they need to make those changes because people are going to figure them out. Because do remember in the regular season, people are going to forget there was a time where they were not great. They were slumping hard. Their offense was not doing much. Don't ignore that.
And I agree with you. It's easy changes. They're a couple pieces away, a couple tweaks, nothing crazy. Yeah. I think honestly, looking at it and just listening to what you're saying, looking at the stats and everything, I think a running game is a big portion of what they're missing. 100% right.
I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I'd agree with you because I'm trying to think back to the game and everything. They didn't run the ball that effectively. They really didn't. And Josh Allen
haven't all year. There were several games in the year their leading rusher was Josh Allen. That's just not sustainable.
In college, having a quarterback that runs quarterback power efficiently can get you somewhere if you have a Lamar Jackson, etc. But this is the NFL. I'm trying to think. Think back to the game. How many times did the Bills run a quarterback power, especially towards the end of that game?
The ran almost how many times did they run up middle of Singletary? Not many.
2-3 times they ran a quarterback power, and I'm thinking, where's the run from Singletary? The offensive line, and maybe draft a running back that fits your system better. That'd probably be the key to their future.
Yeah, I agree. They could probably go after Kenneth Walker or Isaiah Spiller or someone, and because they don't have to do. It's not like you have to draft a running back in the first round, but they need someone. They didn't have the chance to, but if Najee Harris would have gotten to that offense last year, that would have been crazy. Because Najee Harris is a great player, and the Steelers' offensive line is not even that good at all.
Yeah, Najee Harris is something else. That being said, that pretty much wraps up our divisional round games. So,
do we want to predict next week?
Yeah, we're going to predict next week. This isn't a lightning round of picks anymore. We got 2 games here, conference championship, huge games. In my opinion, and I'll say this now before I pick it, it's going to give my picks away. I don't think this is going to be as good as it was last week. I don't think the teams. I don't think the matchups are going to be as good.
It's hard to top last weekend.
Yeah. That being said, first game of the week, 3:00 on Sunday, we have the Bengals and the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to absolutely destroy the Bengals in this one. The Bengals don't. We're talking the Bills secondary, which has been pretty solid all year. Micah Hyde. Their assortment of corners, Matt Wano type of guys like that.
Although losing Tre'Davious White did hurt them.
Yes, 100%. That being said, Bill's secondary, I think, is relatively, I would say, easily better than the Bengals secondary. Minus Jesse Bates III, who's absolutely fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Go Demon Deacons, but
not this week, not the past weekend.
Not the past weekend. But that being said, I don't think the Bengals secondary is going to even stand a chance, or their pass rush is even going to stand a chance against the Chiefs offense. As long as the Chiefs defense is able to somewhat contain Joe Burrow and more specifically Jamar Chase. Yeah, I keep saying these calls. Look at the LSU connection. I'm like, yeah, Joe Burrow threw a 2-yard screen pass to Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase juked out 3 guys for making a 70-yard reception.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not the LSU connection.
That's not sustainable.
That's also it's not. I saw announcers that LSU connection is hits him on a really tight window on a deep post or something or an out route. Jamar Chase running screens. I think
that's Jamar Chase.
I think the Chiefs defense is going to be able to make a dent in that, and the Chiefs offense is going to be unstoppable for this Bengals team. I expect it to be a relatively high-scoring game, and I think the Chiefs are going to come out in this one probably at a 5 to 10 point margin. Max?
I agree with you. I definitely think the Chiefs are going to win this game. Number one, the offensive line for the Bengals is not good. Obviously, they have 9 sacks last week. They got dominated the entire game. The Chiefs don't have as good of a pass rush as the Titans, but they got a few sacks, and they don't turn the ball over.
And Frank Clark's been pretty good in the offseason.
Yeah. If they don't turn the ball over like the Titans did, they're going to be in good shape. There's something else to be said for the Bengals. I mean, as great of a year as they're having, they're so young, and when a team is that young and goes on a run like that, it usually doesn't finish out. And against a team like the Chiefs, it's proven. I think the Bengals are going to give them what they can handle, but at the end of the day, I just think everything for the Chiefs is a little bit better. I think they're going to come out on top, probably about 10 points.
Yeah,
I guess.
100% agree with you. And then moving on from there, 49ers and Rams. This one, I think it's going to be a little more interesting than the last one.
A lot more interesting.
the Rams on paper should absolutely mollywop these 49ers team. It shouldn't be close. Jimmy Garoppolo's not that good. The Rams are so much better. Again, I'm infatuated with the Rams. I'll be honest. They're my Super Bowl pick right now. I just think they're that good. I love their story. I really want to see Odell, Aaron Donald, and Matt Stafford win the ring. I think that'd be really cool. That being said, the 49ers handed them in Week 18. They handed them earlier in the season. The Rams cannot beat the 49ers. It's another one of these teams, just like the Packers. Kyle Shanahan's got their number, and I think the Rams are going to come out on top of this one. I think I'm really hoping so, and I think they will step up to the moment. Jimmy Garoppolo struggled against the Packers. The Packers defense, this Rams defense is a lot better, in my opinion, and it is well matched against this 49ers. The Rams continue to struggle against Deebo Samuel. However, I think if they really spend a week here and game plan against this 49ers, they can slow down Deebo Samuel and really make a dent here. I don't think the 49ers can go against this pass rush, as well as Aaron Donald. Don't forget, as great he is a pass rushing, also a monster in the run game as well, and that'll hopefully put that in the 49ers offense. And then defensively, I don't think the 49ers will be able to match this Rams team at all come playoff time. Cooper Kupp's been extremely hot in the playoffs. I don't think this 49ers secondary is pretty abysmal. The linebacker core is a little bit better, and their D-line is probably the highlight of their defense. So I think the Rams could definitely take advantage of that secondary, just like they did with the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers secondary was all right, and the Rams took advantage of it, especially late in games. So I expect the Rams to come out in this one probably into maybe a 5-point win to a 3-point win, somewhere in that range. Again, 49ers are going to give them what they can handle, but I expect the Rams, their talent, their coaching, their matchups to just come out on top of this one. Max?
Here's what's going to happen in this game. It's going to go exactly this way. The 49ers are going to jump out to an early lead like they usually do. It's going to be whatever I thought. They have the Rams number. They just can't lose to them, and they're going to do what they do and get out early. Come some of the late third quarter and the fourth quarter, the Rams are going to start to make their comeback. Matt Stafford's going to do what did Detroit, bail them out, come back, lead them late. Kyle Shanahan and Garoppolo, we know what they do in late in games. They usually don't finish the job. They're not going to finish the job here. Rams going to win a close one, go to Super Bowl. So we both have Chiefs, Rams in the Super Bowl.
All right, Chiefs, Rams, Super Bowl. That's going to be a fantastic Super. I mean, I remember saying early on in the season, I know last offseason I said the Rams were horrible. I know you remember that. I'm like, there's no way the Rams could put together a championship roster with the type of picks and the cap space they have.
Yeah.
And they damn well did it. I said about halfway through the season, I'm like, this Rams team is built different. There's something different about them, and I think they're going to have the Super Bowl type of run. I think we're going to have Chiefs, Rams in the Super Bowl, and that should be a fantastic Super Bowl to watch if we get there. I want to talk about that, but we're not there yet. Got to go through the conference games first. And you know what? I think it's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully another great weekend here. Again, Chiefs, Rams, Super Bowl, both me and Max pick it. Presumably that's going to be a lot of people's pick too. If there's an upset, imagine the 49ers and the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
I know.
That's crazy. And either one of them, I don't think can compete against the other team. If the Rams win and Chiefs lose, you have Bengals, Rams. I still expect the Rams to win. Vice versa, if the Chiefs have to go against the 49ers, I expect the Chiefs to win. So if there's another upset
all year, this is the weirdest NFL season I think I've ever watched.
Yes, very, very weird. Weirdest conference games I've ever seen. I mean, who would expect the 49ers and the Bengals to be in this game? No one.
No one.
And with that being said, that pretty much wraps up our podcast for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun with this episode. Was kind of like a perfect amount of games and we had enough to talk about. So it was great podcast for me. Other than that, see you guys next week. Max, any final words?
Nope. Thanks for having me once again.
All right. Thank you guys for watching.